Welcome to another episode of the YXT podcast. My name is Jason. I will be your x-ray tech for today. Today, we're going to be talking about Jamaica. We have a very awesome guest, technologist from Jamaica, who's going to let us know how they do things there. She's got a very impressive resume. So I'm very excited for today's episode. You can find the YXT podcast on Spotify. You can find the YXT podcast on Apple Podcasts, and we're on YouTube as well. Or you can visit the website, yourxraytech.com, and check it out there. So thank everybody for your support. Thank you to all the guests. Kamala Anderson, she's our guest for today. She's born in Montego Bay, St. James in Jamaica. She is the first of three children. She attended the Mount Alvernia High School and then the Montego Bay Community College, where she graduated from the pre-university sciences program and went to the University of West Indies, Mona campus in Kingston, Jamaica. There, she graduated with first-class honors, attaining her bachelor's in radiography and diagnostic imaging. Throughout all her years, Ms. Anderson has been extremely active in various clubs and societies and has been the university's ambassador to the Caribbean and the United States, copying various awards. She is a proud graduate of the Mona School of Business and Management, where she completed her MBA with a concentration in marketing. She also completed studies in cardiac CT and the University of California, Los Angeles, and an advanced program in Taro College in New York. Professionally, Kamala has seen the sites of all the island hospitals and a vast amount of private imaging departments. This includes the Shepherd Center in Atlanta, Georgia, the Harbour UCLA Hospital in California, and as well as Metropolitan Hospital in New York, USA. Close to the completion of her degree, she interned at the Kingston Public Hospital. She worked at Radiology West for 9 years, where she served as a radiographer, cardiac CT technologist, interventional radiographer, mammographer, and a student liaison officer. She is currently employed to Omega Medical Hospital in Negril, Jamaica, where she serves as lead radiographer in getting the hospital ready for opening in April 2022. Kamala has a true passion for learning and for radiography and has been making strides in her career by constantly exploring medicine. She would love to offer pediatric cardiac CT to the island, as well as educational opportunities for radiographers and student radiographers. Her zeal for knowledge has led her to start making strides to participate in cardiac research, which she hopes to share in the near future. She is a current member of the Society of Radiographers Jamaica, the Society for Cardiac CT Technology, the Radiologic Society of North America, the American Society of Radiologic Technologists, the Mount Alvernia Old Girls Association, and board certified with the American Registry of Radiologic Technologists. Kamala is also an entrepreneur, starting her own small medical marketing business. So very excited for our guests. And without further ado, let me bring on Kamala. Kamala, hello, welcome.
Jason, thanks for having me.
Quite an impressive resume, quite a journey. I mean, you could you tell us about yourself? Like you were born in Jamaica, then you came to the States, and then how do we get into the field?
Well, I was born in Jamaica. I'm solely educated from right here in Jamaica for the most part. Went all the way from kindergarten to high school to community college to university, and then university again here. But as a part of our program here in Jamaica for radiography, we had well, it's not an elective, but we had to visit the hospital or like a center in a developing country to see how things, are different
Okay.
uh, in those countries. So I chose where I had family, which is in Atlanta, where my uncle lives. So I chose there, and that's how I got into Shepherd and did a short internship there with them at the time. And then after that, I did my MBA and I started going on to different stuff. But I came back for a very short period because it's a very short course. course, the cardiac CT course at UCLA. So it
Okay.
was a very short, and so I did that there. And the Toro course, the advanced placement course, it's I only did that. I came to the States to just go through the hospital to make sure that I got the competencies, which were pretty easy when you're practicing for 9 years, 10 years. You've been doing normal radiography. So it was very easy. And this was all in an effort to become board certified in America because I like to open myself to opportunities. I live in a developing country. I don't know when things are going to change. And so I like to have those possibilities, open for me. And so that's how I got into doing a little bit of stuff in the States and becoming certified with the ARRT. And I love radiography. And since then, I've seen a lot of opportunities being opened. And so I'm actually want to start doing the CT program to be in the ART's registry as well, which shouldn't come hard. Again, that part I hope won't be hard.
Quite a journey, and that's the awesome thing about this field is there's a lot of opportunities. I'm from Texas, so I like to point out the opportunities here, because it could be different everywhere. So what about Jamaica? Like what are the opportunities that are there?
We do have opportunities. So you can either choose to work privately or publicly within the system for the government at the government hospitals or its affiliates. I see where there may be some shortages coming soon in Jamaica because so many of our technologists are migrating. So they're migrating
Mm,
for better opportunities in countries. Now, the United States is so close to us. Like from here, where I live, to Miami, it's an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half.
wow.
That's considerably close. But to be a part of the system in the United States is a lot harder to get in, right? A lot of persons did not know about the advanced program. And to be honest, the last of the advanced program was actually December of last year. So you'd have to
Okay.
start all over by going in back to school in the States to then get board certified, to go through the process of becoming board certified. So I came on at a very good time. I was very fortunate to have gotten a part of the last part of that opportunity. But a lot of our techs are migrating. Some of the older veteran ones, the newer ones, just fresh out of school, because the UK actually takes a lot of our nurses or radiographers. They're taking them in the drones. They're taking
Wow.
them, and the thing is, it's not as hard. They just need to show that they went to school here and they don't have to, it's not as strict as coming over into the United States, which they would have preferred, but they do take the opportunity to leave. And radiographers, because here in Jamaica we call them radiographers more, and
Okay.
they leave they leave and more private facilities are opening. So can you imagine that? A lot of private facilities are opening, but yet people are just leaving, and the school here only graduates about 30 per year.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and about maybe five or so of those are regional students. So in the Caribbean, we have two schools in the Caribbean. One is in Jamaica, which most people come to from Trinidad, St. Lucia, wherever they come to Jamaica to do school here. The other option is Cuba, but there's a language barrier, and I'm not sure of
Mm,
how they act. I've not heard of any radiographers leaving to study in Cuba. The medical students do though, but I've not heard of that. So they come over. So they only leave us with when you have five international students or regional students coming over, five or six of them. It means that we only have 25 left or so, and
wow.
more than half of those are already finding their way out to the country because too what we get paid here is fine maybe for a while just starting out, and definitely in the public sector you can make what you may want to get, but you have to work that much harder. The sessions, the overnights, you can do it, but even so, you can go here and make $10. You're making $10 an hour one place, and then you're going somewhere else that's gonna give you 30. What am I doing
Right.
here? And benefits and greater benefits, better benefits. So, why not? I'm not that dedicated. I'm gone.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the climate here right now in Jamaica.
It sounds like you're saying that there's some opportunities, and so if somebody's considering the field, they should probably move forward along with it, right? Because these are some good problems to have, right? There's a demand.
The economics will come about eventually, where if we need two radiographers and I can only get one, and I say I want this pay, that may eventually come to say, hey, and what do? You're gonna have a CT machine sitting there and nobody to operate it. That won't balance out. So, and that may mean a disadvantage to the patient who's gonna pay, because it means that I gotta pay more, and
Right.
they have to pay more too. So, and in Jamaica, I'm going to be very honest in saying that we are, I'm a little bit more exposed, but we are a little behind with a lot of things, in the sense that when the technologies, I should say. So, right here in Jamaica, for example, in CT, uh, a, a few people just started getting like a 64 slice, and there are probably like 4 or 5 of them on the island. Most of them are still like 16 slices, if that much. When I was trained on a 256 at in the States, and it's very expensive too, like for them
Yes.
to bring in all these machines, because whatever you pay in the States for your machines, I am telling you, we pay double that amount here when they
Wow.
ship it here, and things over a certain cost, even with discounts, because they're medical machines, it's still extremely expensive. So we end up buying a lot of times good secondhand stuff. Even the public systems here, they are still using film in the public
Wow.
system here. Still film, because still very film based. In my facilities, I have grown through CR and now DR, direct. So I've been privileged to get that part, but in the public system, it's still that they don't know, they don't really have much of a RIS or a PAC system. It's still very, you know, it's still very much like.
I think you're doing a great thing because, you're bringing awareness to it. So maybe we could reach out to somebody, or somebody could hear this and say, hey, like maybe we could help, right?
We have we have the text here. We do have, and let me tell you, I believe that our educational system here is so good. It's so good, but it's the opportunities. And when people can reach out and do stuff, so we would get a donation for a machine from somewhere, like for cricket, when we had World Cup cricket, some cricket, 2020 cricket a few years ago. We got some machines from abroad, very nice machines. But guess what? We did not have maintenance. So they
Oh,
take, and it's
okay.
a thing. And healthcare in Jamaica is free. So you can imagine, if you can't afford something in a developing country, you go to the free facility. But they have downtimes. They have a lot of downtime some of the time. So we need support too behind it, and it's getting there. It's getting there. Um, GE has good support here in Jamaica. We have a few biomed engineers who have gone and done studies and come back. I'm friends with a very good one, and he's good with Philips. So those are two main brands here in Jamaica. Philips and GE are two main brands. We just started branching out into Mindray for X-rays and for ultrasounds.
Wow, shout out to them. Shout out to GE and for helping out. That's awesome. And that's one thing we don't really talk too much about is the maintenance. Like the machinery that we're using is very complex, and a lot of times we are busy and the equipment's getting used even though it's trained professionals, but it can run into issues, and it could be something minor or it could be something major where it just kind of like puts everything on halt for a little while. So that could be a problem if it is down for a day or two. That could be a major problem on proficiency and patient care as well, you know, having to reschedule.
And some people at one point, right now we have only one, there was supposed to only one free public system MRI in the island, and it's on the other end of the island in Kingston, which is our capital. And that MRI machine has not been working for a very long time. So the public
Wow.
system has no MRI to offer. They have to go privately for that. And the cost privately, as you can imagine, is going to be a lot higher to those patients. And it's, I don't know. Just the other day, the government stepped in and tried to subsidize some of these costs, a lot of these costs that they have to outsource privately, which is a great initiative. But there are also disadvantages working with the government sometimes. So there are those too.
I was looking at some pictures of Jamaica and it just looks amazing. I've never been, not yet. I would love to visit one day, maybe even stay for a little while. But it looks
You should.
amazing. Yeah.
You
And I
should.
know you mentioned that you're part in helping to start a new hospital. Is that correct?
Yes, so the hospital is not up yet. It's in Negril, and Negril is known to be a tourist area that, trust me, you will love 9 miles of beautiful beach, all free for the most part, unless you have to go to one of those all-inclusive hotels. But for the most part, you can go and it's free. So it's a small private hospital that will cater a lot to the tourism industry there. We have in Negril, there's the Rick's Cafe. You can look that up for the adventurous people. There's Rick's Cafe, but with Rick's Cafe and some of these adventure, you can tell that even though you come here to play and to have fun, you don't expect that you're gonna hurt somewhere and you're gonna end up at the
Right.
hospital and in the imaging department, sadly. So Negril needed that, and so I'm a part of that. It's very small hospital, but we will have their X-ray, CT, ultrasound, MRI, and uh, in a little while, interventional radiography.
Wow, that's awesome. So more opportunities there just on the island coming very soon, right? You said this is opening in 2022?
Yes, it's April of this year for the soft opening, and then hopefully in June for the grand opening.
Wow. Well, I wish y'all luck with that, and that's amazing to hear. And again, I'd love to visit one day. You're multi-tech, right?
So in Jamaica, it's a little different. So it's not like in the States where you have to be certified for each modality. It's a little bit different. You ought to be. In my opinion, it's a very good module to follow in the States. You do have rotations through every department. A part of our competency is you have to be able to do a CT brain at least. So you get a little bit more exposure on the CT end. And during your internship, you can hopefully get more info on whichever area that you would have loved. But here in Jamaica, I learned a lot of the CT on the job, but I complemented that with a CT cross trainer that's actually offered in the States. A company in the States offers it. It's called, I think, Medical Imaging Professionals. They offered it, and it was a great course. So I got that at the end of it, and I realized that ASRT is offering some good ones now too, some really good ones. I love them. The only thing that is my drawback to that is that I love having some physical books sometimes to drag with me somewhere, but those are mostly videos. But here in Jamaica, I learned that on the job, and I've been doing that for a long time. I've been doing that for over 10 years now. There's no CT and I've practiced both on GE and Philips, so I know how to use both machines. I do fluoro. At one point, I actually helped to train the other techs. A radiologist trained me in doing barium meals, barium enemas. So I did those basically by myself, and I supplemented that with reading on my own. Because my previous job my boss had a lot of books, and so he would give us some, and we were open to using them. And then I started training. At one point, I was actually helping the radiology residents, to use that modality to see what they were seeing, how to do it. And of course, you're teaching doctors now, so you gotta be on top of your game. So you had to read more. So I did that. And they keep me on my feet too, because I had good residents. Some of them were still very good friends, and they keep me on my feet too, just the same. And through that came, you know, confidence. When you do these things and you become good at them, it gains your confidence. And so you feel like you can try something and experiment with. You read a journal and it says that, oh, you can do this intersusception case with barium and do that kind of thing. And you're like, ooh, what tools do they use? Can I try this? And you go through that process. And I learned mammography on the job, which was also supplemented by the books that I read, but didn't do any official thing like I did for CT. And that I've been doing for the same amount of time as I have CT and x-rays, and the school teaching part of it has always been like a part of me. So it's been a while and doing them. And I always do these type of things where a webinar is being offered or like a conference is being done with the radio there. I'm writing my notes and I'm a part of it and the learning process, and I'm there.
Yeah. So continuing education, right? Very, very important and the key to learning, right?
Extremely. And I love found on Instagram with discovering your page. I've
Oh,
also
thank you.
discovered medical professionals who offer even some free ones every once in a while. They're good for that. There are quite a few of them that I follow, and I was impressed to see that once I started this journey, how many things and the community that's out there that's so wide and so varied. I'm impressed by it, and I feel a little bit once I got my board certification the other day that, ooh, I'm on the American and the Jamaican side now. I can do this. And
The power of social media. It's a very powerful tool.
yes,
You could learn a lot and you could reach a lot of people. I mean, this is awesome. I love that we met and I mean you're from Jamaica. I'm in Texas. It's incredible. It's incredible. And we have a lot in common because we're in the same field. I'd like to talk a little bit about Jamaica, just so we could kind of paint the picture,
of
right? Because
course, of
you know,
course.
there's some of us text we have that travel in mind, right? So
Definitely.
so what's something fun you'd like to do in Jamaica?
It sounds very cliche, but I love going to the beach. I love going to the beach. Outside of that, I've always loved getting to know. No, I know Jamaica is small and it's a little dot when you drop it into the United States map, but I have not been to see a lot of the things that Jamaica has to offer. We call it the land of wood and water for a reason. So many trees, so many water bodies, lots of rivers. And a friend of mine just exposed me just the other day to, every other week going to a different river and ex- exploring. It's so pretty, and there's so many places in Jamaica that are so untouched still and natural. And I say
Wow.
untouched because, of course, we're a tourism area, so the government and everybody kind of touches some of the nicer things and touches stuff, but there's still some untouched places here. Adventure, if you like, for example, I was telling about Rick's Cafe in Negril. If you love adventure, people jump off the cliff. You can look it up, right into the
Wow.
water, do their thing. So Doctor's Cave has one of the best beaches. We have a lot of falls. So Dunn's River Falls is a good place to go if you want to climb a falls. If you like a hike, if you're more into like hiking and like country life, we have those too. We have that too. You
Wow.
can go hike the Blue Mountains, which is our highest peak. And Blue Mountain coffee is one of the best in the world. So if
Blue
you're a
Mountain
coffee
Coffee.
drinker, if you love your coffee, Blue Mountain coffee, I always take some to the States whenever I'm going because somebody's going to drink it. Somebody's going to want coffee. I'm always around some coffee people in the States. So, I'll bring coffee. And what else do I love to do? I mean, we do some of the stuff that you guys are familiar with, especially in Texas. You must know skeet shooting. I like doing a little
Yes.
bit of that. We've got that here. if you want to go and try spearfishing, you can. There are entities that does spearfishing. If you want to do something a little luxury lifestyle and go on a yacht and go out and do a yacht party, it's up to you. One of my favorite hangout spots in Montego Bay is at Pier 1. It's good food, good vibes. Um, and you should look it up. It's so pretty at night. You can walk out onto the pier, and they try to do on a Wednesday night a little gathering thing, a little party of sorts, but not big because we got work tomorrow. We don't all
Okay.
party, okay? And on a Friday though, they'll do something a little bit bigger, you know. There's so much to do here depending on what you want.
Yeah.
So much to do.
To live there and then to do what you love, I mean, that's amazing. Of all the modalities, which one's your favorite?
So I've loved my CT imaging, and I've ventured out into this world of cardiac CT imaging. And trust me, it's a whole different
Mm.
world. And for me, that's exciting. And it's become exciting. It didn't start off exciting, I can tell you that much, because here I am feeling unchallenged, decide to go and take it up and say, I'm going to challenge myself to something. And I challenge myself to the heart. Like, why would I do that? I never really, there's so much going on in the heart that I was like, why did I do this? The first day of the class, and I tell this story every time. The first day of that class, I came home. I felt like everything went over my head, but I paid so much money for it. I literally went to Arby's. There was an Arby's beside the Best Western that I stayed, and I got myself a huge burger, a huge fries, a huge drink, cried because I
Wow.
was like, what did I get myself into? And went to bed. Did not go out with my friend the night to any Hollywood Walk of Fame because I did not deserve to go. And um, but I put, you know, my big girl pants on, and I said, okay, I'm gonna get up and do it. And it was rewarding. I asked for the help that I needed the next day. I stayed and did extra work, and so I love that field, the cardiac CT imaging, and I want it to be something that we can offer because we're the first set of people. I mean, Jamaica is a little bit ahead, I believe, in terms of Caribbean territories. And a lot of the times, for certain things, we have to travel to the States for. We hop on a
Mm.
plane and go to Miami if we can afford it, that is.
Yeah.
But having it here in Jamaica is definitely a plus. And so there's a toss up between that and interventional radiography.
Wow.
Love me an interventional radiography because it has the potential to change what you're doing so quickly in doing them. So I think those are my toss up.
Yeah, two good choices. Absolutely. So, a message for Jamaica and Jamaican people. Do you have a message that you would like to leave?
I love my country. I was raised here. People always asking me from 10 years ago, why don't you come to the States? There's so many opportunities. You love to learn. You could just go in and understand that different people have different situations that they deal with. I may be a little bit more fortunate because, for example, may not have had student loans like some persons to pay. I may not have children when I went back to school, you know, some of them do, and they do have families and stuff. And I have chosen a path that I put my education here, but others have different choices. But if you choose whatever path you choose at some point, even if you decide to, if you decide to migrate, find a way to, you know, give back to our country because I can tell you that a lot of these people they don't leave because they don't love their country. I can tell you that much. Um, People leave because of the opportunities. You go to college and university for a while. So if Jamaicans can still find a way to, you know, give back, but to give back to the country, that would be great. Be absolutely great. Just find some time to give back, even if it means spending a vacation here ever so often and giving back to some tourism dollars, you know what I mean? Some foreign exchange. Find a way to always give back to the country.
It's been a pleasure, Kamala. Real pleasure. Thank you for sharing your experience. Thank you for sharing about Jamaica. That's any last notes. What can we expect in the future?
My book is open. I want to be able to teach. I've realized that I want to teach at some point. I love molding new minds. I love getting information there. I think I'll do a really good job. My students thus far have always been coming back and asking for advice. And, I think I want to get into that. I'm clinically, both on the clinical side and the scholastic side. If I'm very fortunate, be able to be a part of the system there in the United States for a short period of time at least. But I want that new experience of maybe leaving for a little while, but you know how I feel about Jamaica, but just leaving for a little while and then coming back to bring new things, new experiences, and new mindset. But always, 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 always developing this field that I just love. What's next? AI is coming to radiography. We can't be left behind. We're gonna have people who are gonna be there and on the ball. So can look forward to stuff like that.
Wow.
And before you leave, I want to tell you thank you too for having me. I've been to Texas. I like Texas, and I actually came to a conference a few years ago, the cardiac CT conference a few years ago in Texas. That was my exposure to Texas. It was a long flight, but it was nice. And the places I've been to in the States are also very nice. I love Atlanta. It's my second home. But I want to thank you too for having me. I mean, and support like this is just, to me, it's great. We need to meet people from around the world. When you come to Jamaica, you got somebody to pick you up from the airport. You know what I mean? That kind of
Awesome.
thing.
Awesome. And maybe we'll do this again in the near future, right? We'll see how
We
the
can find
hospital
a
comes
topic.
on.
We can find a topic. Give you a tour of the new hospital.
Yes, I would love that.
Take you to the beach one day, like have the conference on the beach with a little cocktail. Maybe not a cocktail, but we'll see.
I'm open to cocktails. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kamala, it's been a pleasure. If you haven't already, follow Kamala on Instagram. She's at radcam876. Is that correct?
Yes, that's our
Yeah.
area code in Jamaica, 876.
Ah, that's where there you go. Thank you everybody for listening to the YXT podcast. We're on the Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and youactuallytech.com. We look forward to catching up with Kamala in the near future. Have a great day. Thank you for listening.